Good morning, universe. Good morning. It is 12:45 on the 10th of February. I have to be at work in 45 minutes, 43 if I want to clock in the 2 minutes early that corporate America allows us to get paid early for. So there is a time limit here. And I said I wouldn't be recording again until Friday night when the new setup came in. And then started re-listening to the block of episodes from 10 to now, trying to understand the direction I was heading in this block of 10, and something I had done kept me up literally until at least 4:55 in the morning, because that's the last time I remember looking at the clock. And there are ways in which we have been trained to think that we don't know, and that if you ask us, we will tell you we are absolutely do not think that way. And for instance, I am convinced in my bones, down to the very cellular makeup of my blood, that I do not see color. I am not racist. I do not judge people according to appearance. And I live this way with every moment of my life, and have throughout my life. In some ways, I think to continually prove, as a white male American, that I'm not racist. Because I've been trained to think racist thoughts throughout my whole life. And I'm sure that as I speak these words, I'm ignorant to ways that I am systemically influenced to be racist and don't even know it. And am racist in ways I don't even know it. I accept that my reality cannot exist in the way it has influenced me otherwise, to not have influenced me in those ways, in ways I'm ignorant of. And while I obviously do not want that situation, I know I'm immersed in it. And I'm just like misogyny. And I certainly do not think, if anything, I think women are the superior gender. So I don't know if I can consider myself misogynistic fundamentally, but I consider myself to have been trained to be misogynistic and programmed in a way that I don't even know how I dismiss women. Of course I can. And let me give you an example. My childhood is peppered with a few different generic IQ tests that my mom gave me, or the school gave me, or I gave myself, or I ran into in a bookstore, and so I took. And as you're becoming who you are as a young adult, one of the things I think we all wonder is, well, how blankety blank am I? Like, how tall am I going to grow, right? You don't even know. And so every time I had gotten back a score, it had revealed that I was, quote unquote, a genius or whatever. So there was never anything but positive reinforcement in those back alley IQ tests, which is probably a reason I'd taken 3 or 4 of them by the time I got to college. And none of them did I actually consider legitimate, because I know there is a legitimate IQ test out there. And in my sophomore year, the psychology department advertises to have people take an IQ test. They need, I don't remember, I think it was 50 or so participants to take an IQ test. And so I'm like, sweet, because the IQ test you're taking is the official one. And they want, and so I respond, and you're going to get paid. I think it was $30 for your time. And so I'm like, hell yeah, because I want to know the number. I want the official number. And because I know that I figure the numbers I have are inflated. And so I want to know what the real number is. And so I respond to the test, and show up for there was an interview process, and there's like hundreds of people showing up, and they only need 50. And so I'm like, fuck, I almost turn around and walk away. But I stand in line figuring, whatever, I'm here. I'm probably hungover and don't have weed, so I might as well stand in this line. Anyway, one of the things that helped me, I think, get to be one of the 50 is they want people who think they know their IQ score because they've taken tests before. That's really what the test is about. So if you have legitimately previously tested yourself, even in a back alley capacity, that puts you to the front of the line because you have a score. Not just, well, looking at those scores, I'll bet I'm a 125. It means I've been tested, and I had been tested 3 separate times, and all those tests had come back high. So if anything, I think they wanted me because I thought my IQ was out of bounds. And so I become one of the 50 who gets tested. And this is the first time that I've taken what is, and there are actually 2 official IQ tests. I've taken both. The second one I took only once, and I took it way later in life. The first two, this one that I took when I was 19 and the one that I took when I was 24 are the same test. And when I took this test, I got within 4 points both times. And I got a higher score the second time. And the reason I had to take it the second time is because I was in therapy at the time, and I told my therapist what my IQ score was. And having admitted to her that I was a deviant liar, she didn't believe me. And so she had an opportunity. She had a way in to have me tested. She's like, do you want to prove it? I was like, fuck yeah, I want to prove it. And so I went in and took the test and actually scored 4 points higher. And but this isn't relevant. And believe me, and I'm going to prove this in about 10 minutes, maybe less. The IQ test doesn't matter. These are not reinforcements of how smart you are. If anything, they're reinforcements of how wide you have been exposed to cultural norms and standards per the canon of knowledge we consider to be quote-unquote intelligent right now. At least that third test gave me insight into the IQ scoring because I got to see it scored, my own test. The first test, though, let me get back to my point. The first test. So, in the same period of time, I had read an article in Rolling Stone that had Madonna's official IQ score, and I got my test score back after having gone through this at the university. And what was my reaction when I looked at my score? My reaction was, my IQ points only 4 points higher than Madonna. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that Madonna has a pretty high IQ score because I have a pretty high IQ score. And it also means that I am trained to think men are smarter than women. I am trained to think that even stupid sophomores at university are smarter than female pop stars. I'm trained to think those things. I'll bet you are too. Because Madonna's freaking smart. She has navigated the world of popular music for 35 years successfully at the top of the game. Do you know how smart you have to be to do that as a woman? And I am not being misogynist. I'm being realistic about the challenges women face in this world. If there is anybody who is smart, it is Madonna Cicciarone. Is that her name? Did I just call Madonna pork skin? I hope not. Madonna, listen, Madonna, I will spend an episode on heroes on Madonna. At some point I owe her that. Because over the course of time, Madonna has become a hero of mine. I guess in reality, Madonna has become one of my heroines. If I ever took heroin, I don't think it would be as an intense a relationship as I've had with Madonna from afar. Madonna, I love you. And I always have. So, my first reaction to my IQ score to be, I'm only 4 points smarter than Madonna? What a dick I was trained to be. Thanks, current state of Earth. I'm only 4 points smarter than Madonna. I'm also only 4 points smarter than Hillary Clinton. 2 of the smartest women currently alive. And I'm sure if I was tested head-to-head, they'd beat me in every intellectual capacity there is today. So, We are all trained to think ways that even if we, in our fundamental, elemental, blood level existence, believe we're not, we are. It's just how it works. You can't come into a circumstance, a paradigm, a structure that is so established as this one and not start thinking with the establishment that is there. It happens. It happens to all of us, which is why it is so critical that if you want to say, I am not racist, I am not misogynist, I am not anti-choice, I am not anti-freedom of sexual expression, that you go out of your way to question yourself when you find yourself possibly acting in ways that don't represent that. So when I tried to argue that, first I did concede that I think equating South Asian peoples with shrewd negotiation skills is racist. I then doubled down by trying to say, but it's not racist because I have three friends who are South Asian. This is one of the worst tropes there are. And I went straight to it. And I know it's a trope. And I went straight to it. Now, of course I'm racist. You know why? Because I still know there are Asians, there are Africans, there are Europeans, there's whiteys, there's brownies, there's yellowies. I live in a world in which that's the way it is. That's racist. I want us all to just be humans. I want us all to have the same opportunities, and I want us all to get the same expression of reward for being part of the community that is humanity. And that's all I want. So in any way that I'm hindering that, I have to self-check my own attitude. So today I take myself to task for those comments. I'm better than that, and I know it. So I apologize to everybody out there that this white male American was born into a circumstance I didn't deserve, got all the advantages I hadn't earned, and is now trying to come correct about how hard it can be to know when you're wrong.